Welcome back to the manse at Second Comber, which is just behind the church. And I want you to look at a different view today. The view coming up the manse drive just over here. And you will drive up and you might miss a bit of the view that you have from this perspective. But could you just look across there? And when we're standing, the camera will be capturing for you almost a framework. For me, this is one of the best pictures about the place. From the living room, we look out and you see even the variety in reds from pink, and then the different depths of green from the trees, and even yellow far out there. And then if we look up to the skyline, you get that wonderful backdrop. You begin to start to pick up the names of some of the plants or trees. But an old person has said to me, what's the green bush here right in the middle of this little bit of lawn? We never see a bloom of it. There's a reason for that. And I'd have to take you over to the other side of it to explain. We'll do that now. From this perspective, if you look in just under the leaves, you'll see it's not a bush, it's a tree. And you've got the tree trunk, and in fact, there's a metal bar where originally that tree, when it was just planted, had been staked up quite vertical. But now the angle is such. And the story behind it is a year or two ago, we had a big storm. I'm sure you remember trees had been knocked down round about the countryside. When I looked round in the morning, this is what I saw. The tree that we have had, and it always looks so beautiful, right down on its side. Of course, with the leaves off it and going through the winter time, others said to me, why don't you go and cut that tree completely away? It's down. There's no point. It really looks a sight. I never got round to it. And maybe it's well I didn't, because as you look at it now, it seems as if it's a bush from one side. And while it's down, it's not quite out. And the reason, if you look at a tree, sometimes there's a little bit of the stem or the roots still going into the ground, even though it seems to have toppled down. And because the root is still going into the ground, the life and the nutrients are coming up through the trunk, and look, you still get the bloom. Perhaps that's a relevant image for what we are going through at the moment. It's like a storm. It has just hit us. In fact, when I look back and imagine it's only a couple of months ago, it seems a lot longer, but that's how short it has been since the pandemic came and, as it were, toppled our society. Like a big storm, and suddenly it flattened. You might be going through a time economically and you feel flattened. Or some sadly might have a very difficult time with health issues. And once again you feel the feet have been taken from under me, as occasionally we say in Ulster. We seem as if we are flattened. Or perhaps it's looking to the future. How could we possibly get out of this? As time has progressed with the tree, something new has come. And those who are a lot older than us have said, give it time, and there we will come out of it. We'll not be the same, but there will be something new. And we trust that will happen. It's also true that, like my tree, it bears the scars of its fall. No, it's not the same. No, it has been damaged, but it's still blooming, and something different has come. And if I go a step further, when I think of Jesus speaking to his disciples in the Gospel of John, which is in the New Testament of the Bible, and in John chapter 15, Jesus takes a picture. As I said the other day in my own congregation here, Jesus loves to speak in pictures. Sometimes maybe before a lot of words. And he looks around and he saw trees in his particular country, out in Israel, vineyards, vines, branches. And one day he said to his disciples, to all who would follow him, I am the true vine. You're the branches. Abide in me, and I will abide in you. And Jesus, thinking of a tree with all its branches, was saying to those who follow him, look, abide in me. Keep trusting in me. And remember, I will abide in you. That's a very important phrase and image in that passage. Sometimes we will say following Jesus Christ is a philosophy of life. Well, I suppose it's that, but it's much more than that. A few people might say, well, following Jesus is a way of life. And of course it is a way of life, a way of living, a way of doing things. But it's much more than a way of life. And Jesus explains it as he gets us to look at this tree, as he takes a picture of a tree in his time and says, look, as the branches abide in the tree, as the branches abide in the main stem, so the life of the main stem flows into the branches, so that instead of getting dry and withered, they still have leaf, they still keep alive, because the very sap flows into them. And so as we trust in Jesus, something of him comes to live within us. And while we cannot see him physically, his Spirit comes to dwell within us. That means be at home within us, take part of us, so that the very presence of Jesus is here. And something of the life of Jesus comes to be within us as we believe in him. Abide in me, said Jesus. And you know, I will abide in you. In the Christian life, like everyday life, we can get big storms. Things that seem to flatten us, just like my tree flattened. And maybe we say, you know, that has really hit me hard. I'm finding it difficult. Or, I got it wrong. How am I going to pick myself up again? And Jesus reminds us, well, you might be down, but if my life is within you, even that faith lying like a root, I will lift you up and I will bring you back again. Now, it doesn't mean the hurts will all disappear, or the scars will never be seen again, or we'll be able to stand upright like this tree once more, but we'll be different. We'll still bloom. Bloom maybe in a greater or different way. But you know, the promise is there that when we believe in Jesus, then even though at times we might feel down, we will never be out.